we go. We're continuing the Dave Canales breakdown extravaganza. Super excited. We only got 2 more of these. This one, again, coming from training camp, post first pads practice. Super excited for it. We've obviously had the news about David Davis. We still have guys coming back like Shaq, like Jonathan Brooks, and Mr. Damien on the line. So we have a little bit of growth to come. Dave is, of course, going to kick it off with his speech. So without further ado, my name is Nick. Welcome to Roll Coverage, where you come for the press conference breakdown right now.
Hey, I thought it was all over.
Nope. They Roll Coverage. A great finish to the practice. High energy practice for sure. There was a significant difference in how we started the practice from defense to offense. Defense showed up play 1, ready to rock with the physicality and all that. Offensively, we kind of worked our way through the first group, so it kind of called them up right there. Use it as a great opportunity to say, hey, look, this will happen sometimes. Sometimes you start a game and one side of the ball is struggling a little bit. The other side may be doing well. And the bottom line is we got to go to the next play. We get our stuff right. We go to the next drive. We don't make judgments about the outcome of the game based on what happens in the first drill. Bryce was able to come down, make a great drive in that 2-minute at the end, score a touchdown on the last play. Not the way we designed it, but he's been magnificent with some of those plays off schedule. But it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And I love when the energy, what I'm looking for is the energy to match on all phases. The offense and the defense, we're all going for it. There's not one side going and the other side's not. Special teams wise also, just we're flying around. I'll even go out there in the drills, try to run down there with them just to try to match it, try to bring the whole thing together. It's the only way that we make us, it's the only way that we become something is if we push each other. So those are kind of my general big notes of the day, kind of for my initial observation.
Okay. So obviously you're coming to this channel because you want to see some sort of press conference breakdown. And of course, I got to focus on this dude right here, Dave Canales. Dave Canales has a lot of opportunity ahead of him, but I wish you guys could have seen every episode. And if you have, you would have seen his face change. He doesn't normally answer questions where he's looking down like this, where he's doing this, and then he just kind of like looks up. He's normally like focused, eye contact. If he looks away for a few seconds, then he's going to come right back to it. So this tells me that there's something that he is seeing, something that the players are doing, whatever it may be, that he's not necessarily the happiest with, which it's fine. He's a head coach. These things are going to happen. But at the same time, I think we're getting to the point where I'm going to start going and looking back at some of his press conferences and seeing if this is how he handled it, because I have a sneaking suspicion that the Carolina Panthers might be doing this to more than one head coach. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, this just tells me that there's something that Dave is worried about, offensive or defensively. I'm not sure where you sit with it. I'm probably assuming it's defensively, even though he's giving them the credit of being ready. If the offense isn't clicking, though, that's solely on Dave. So that's an interesting dichotomy to it as well. So obviously we still got a bit of a press conference to go, but I'm obviously looking for that that nugget that he's going to give about really what he's thinking about with this team and really what's wrong or what's right. So
after the 5th period, is that kind of when things started to change for the offense? What was that conversation?
It was like early. It was like kind of earlier in practice. Yeah, that's what I was talking about right there. So bringing them together, just making sure we're matching energy.
Was he taken away, or was there something else going on with him?
Yeah, it's something in his lower leg. I don't want to get into any details. We're just going to evaluate him this afternoon as a precaution, and then we'll go from there. I'll have more information for you guys.
Okay, so this is obviously the Xavier lower extremity issue. I believe it's in his foot. It's going to pop on the screen right now. So that is kind of where we're at with him. This is the second pre-season, off-season injury he's had. So I'm obviously very concerned moving forwards. He's obviously wide receiver 3 or 4 at this point on this depth chart. So he's going to have to pass Jonathan Mingo, because the one thing that Jonathan Mingo has over him, the number one ability, is reliability. So
similar to what he dealt with in the spring, do you know, Dave?
No. Yeah.
You think it could be potentially serious? Did you get any indication?
I got no indication on it. They just kind of was like, okay, he's got something going on. We sent him in. I want to kind of keep it like that for now. When I get more information, I promise I'll let you know.
Dave, you've done a pretty efficient job of mixing up and matching personnel on the first team. Why is it important for maybe some of those backups to kind of get those reps early with that group in case of emergency?
Right. Well, it's just the chemistry, right? So, I mean, I think in any football season, you play with your guys, and then you always have a practice squad call up or somebody else. And so it's so important that we continue to filter guys through to get those so that Bryce can see them. There's this me to you factor where he's got to feel this body type. He's got to feel the speed. How does he come out of breaks? How does he like to attack the ball? Those types of things. The running backs as well, just running behind the different offensive lines, so they can kind of feel the different style of movement that happens with different guys in there. So really, really critical. And also at times it's also just a challenge to see. Now you're gonna take these reps with the first group. How do you respond? Can you just continue to be consistent, or does it become something bigger? So we need all that information.
I also think it is pretty apparent that somebody on this team, most likely, again, I'm going to continue to stay with Sanders, is going to ascend into a starting role much sooner than they were planned to be. So I think that's going to be what happens. Now, the other guys, Wallace, Brooks, and Xavier, it's going to take some time, probably a few weeks before everybody's completely over their injuries. And not only that, able to execute the game plan at a high enough level to be a starter. So
when you look at Amir, he kind of flashed today, making a lot of plays, especially looking at his route running. What have you seen from him as he continues to grow through camp?
He's having a great camp. Certainly the value that he brings as a returner, he's dynamic. He's got touchdown potential as a returner, and then as a receiver, just seeing him being able to, play inside and outside and consistently come up with plays for us. It's so good to see. We talked about challenging our roster. We talked about challenging every room, and he's taking the challenge the right way, and he's focused, and he's serious about it. So I love where he's headed.
Yeah, ISM has a great opportunity to break into this wide receiver room. But you also got to remember there's a guy behind him in Jalen Coker, and of course Mingo and TMJ ahead of him. So he's got to really make a meaningful jump this year. He hasn't really had the opportunities in the NFL, which is what I have mostly knocked him for. But this could be the change. If he ends up with north of 20 receptions this year alone, he could pass all of his previous year's touches. So I think that growth this year, and then possibly being a true starting wide receiver next year on this team in a meaningful way. Because I do think Adam is gone. I do think Deontay is gone unless we pay him top dollar. So this wide receiver room could be Xavier, Jonathan, Terrace, Coker, and ISM. So could be an interesting one next year. And of course, we'd want to upgrade that room. So.
More for Coach.
On Legette, did you see what happened? I mean,
I didn't see it. Yeah, I didn't see it. I just came over and they just kind of let me know.
Trevin, Wallace, Dave.
Yeah.
What have you seen from Trevin in the early going?
Yeah, Trevin, just seeing the ability, right? Seeing the talent is there. Now I would like to see him really start to step it up in terms of certainty. Here's the call. Here's where I know I got to go, whether it's in the run game or the pass game, to see that confidence and certainty where there's no hesitation, and I think he can feel it too. There's just a different level of preparation and intensity these practices call for it. So I would love to see him just continue to evaluate there. He's not there yet, but he's heading in the right direction.
See, that is my concern. We drafted this dude, I believe, 3rd round. We're expecting him to come into the linebacking room and be able to make a jump sometime this year, either into the starting or at least in the running. But his draft profile is coming back to bite him. That's exactly what people said in college, said he was not sure of his run or pass commits. He would often hit the wrong holes. He wasn't dissecting the game as well. So that's all the other stuff. Yeah, he's got the talent. Yeah, he's got the size. But if it's not between here, I don't know what we're going to do with this guy. So this is Dan Morgan. This is what I said about this draft class. If this draft class fails, Dan Morgan is an RGM next year. I'm sorry. If only one of these guys makes a meaningful impact or a meaningful contribution to this team, it's going to be hard sailing someplace else so we can go get ourselves a real GM. That's all I'm saying.
The injuries, Jatavion is getting more work. What have you seen from him with the more snaps?
Just a natural football player. Would love to see him continue to just work on the little things, you know, the technique stuff that Coach McPherson is working with him. But the thing we are seeing from him is just finds a way to get open, you know, and he's available as a pass catcher, which is what we're hoping he can do for us, you know. So what a great opportunity. It's that next man up mentality, you know, and as we go through the things with Tommy and with Ian, you know, you get JT hopping right in there with Bryce and showing him how he makes himself available in the pass game.
Okay, so again, these are nuggets. What he's going to make available in the pass game, meaning if it's a running play, man, he's not on the field. If he's not, you know, catching a quick curl or, again, any little safety valve pass for Bryce, that's it. He's not going to be out there blocking and all that other stuff. So that is something that we are pulling from this. He is telling us that he is not going to be an adequate enough blocker to be in the game for all the tight end scenarios. So that's going to be a tough one for him and could give him a little bit of a decrease in speed when it comes to getting that tight end number 1 position.
What are you seeing in the intensity level of Miles since he's battling Chuba out there?
You know, honestly, the battles to me, like, if they're in their right state of mind, they're trying to improve their game every day. I don't see them with that dynamic. They're talking. All those guys are talking and working. They take pride in that room, and it shows. Like, they set the tempo of our practices. They finish these runs. They finish on the passes. Mike Boone caught some great balls down there in the pass drill, and they kind of really work as a unit. Speaking specifically to Miles, he looks great. He looks like he's ready to go. He came in great shape. He's maintaining it. He's doing the right things. I'm really excited, you know, to see him.
That's also another one. Are we going to be keeping Miles long-term since we have him under contract? Or is this a situation where we're just going to gas him up, give him a bunch of touches early, and get him out of here? I don't know. The running back room has been depleted. The running back value has been depleted, so there's, what are we going to get, a 5th for him? 6th? It's probably worth it, but just to get the fan base on Brooks' side when he comes in there, but I don't know. It's such an interesting one. I can't see the fan base being okay if we lose Chuba, on the other hand. So that one could send the fan base into a little bit of an angry frenzy.
Coach, I know it's a couple days away yet, but first game Thursday night. What do you hope to see out of you?
Great effort, great enthusiasm. I hope the guys that are all cheering each other on, even especially when they're not on. Great toughness. I want to see big hits. I want to see physical blocks. I want to see the running backs finish with aggression and the tight ends. I want to see great, smart plays in situations, making great decisions in third down situations, end of half 2 minutes, end of game 2 minutes, those types of things. And above all, I want to see us finish the fourth quarter like we started the game, with that intensity, with all those things. That's what I'm looking for. So it's kind of the formula for what we're trying to do here, and I want to see it come to life in a game setting.
See, remember when I started this video and I said that it was being a little weird? He said, he normally doesn't look down, doesn't do all that other stuff. You see how he answered that question? See how this guy right here answered that question? He's able to look straight at you. He's not darting all around. He's not looking down or anything like that because he's confident in his answer. This is the difference in Dave Canales that is prepared and Dave Canales that is kind of going through maybe the truth. If the defense isn't on the par that we need, then it makes sense to be upset about it. But at the same time, if you're a rah-rah guy, you're trying to not hinder their ability. And I also understand that. So there's a back and forth, but at the same time, he's got to pick a lane. He's either going to be Mr. Rah-Rah and always say that everybody's great and everything's going great, or he's going to slowly become Frank Reich last year, where he was the good guy to start the year. And then as the games ticked on, he slowly just started to tell us the truth about what was happening. I'll be very interested to see if that changes. Obviously, a lot of people say that Dave Canales, coaches, former players, anybody involved with organizations say that this is who he is. He's a super happy guy, but you can tell when he's not confident in an answer.
Have you thought about if your starters will play Saturday, or how do you plan on that?
We're still working through that. I think the the ability to do that all depends on how healthy our groups are, you know. So we'll have to evaluate what the numbers look like, knowing we're going to have to play 4 quarters. So we'll be talking about that over the next couple of days.
Dave, I know you weren't happy about some of the pre-snap stuff Thursday night. Has that gotten better the last couple of days, you feel?
Yeah, and you know, it was like the false start thing was kind of an isolated event in that environment, you know, and you add fatigue. You know, these are the practices we need to operate cleanly when we're tired, you know, that the snaps come up at the right time, that we're hitting our motion landmarks at the right time on defense, that we're adjusting to the moving parts, live bullets, you know, and watching, you know, the 2-minute drill right there, getting those calls in, seeing them function better and better. But yeah, we're looking for that, trying to put a strain on the guys so they have to focus when they're tired.
Dave, one of the things that you had really a lot of success with last year was the deep passing game.
Yeah.
We haven't seen a lot of that in camp. You saw one today from Bryce Domingo. Is that something that comes with time, or what's kind of holding that back from being displayed out here for the first week of camp?
Yeah, I think it's number one, our scheme defensively is fantastic. So it's really hard. This scheme right here really maximizes the disguise. They do so many good things that make it hard for you to kind of know when you're going to be able to get that shot down the field. And so it's just a matter of, for our quarterbacks, especially studying our guys, to say, this is a look when this shot would be good, you know. And I think, you know, generally speaking, as far as training camps go, like, our deep ball production kind of increases the further into camp we get, and it really does show up more in games. You know, when you're out here in a practice setting, you know, a lot of the times the defense and secondary play a little bit more conservative. In games, they're more liable to like take a shot on a guy or try to cover something where you can set up some of those shots. But and it's definitely something we just have to, bottom line, just improve on and get opportunities on. So I'd love to see more production down the field, yes, but it's been really difficult against our defense right now.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep,
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
And thank you, Dave, for everything. Again, Dave Canales and the Carolina Panthers are must-follows, not only on Twitter, but also on YouTube. So make sure you go subscribe. Now, obviously, the deep ball concern is a real one, to be honest with you. And not only is it a real one, but if this defense is not a top 20 defense and we're not able to push the ball against this defense, then we're going to have a really hard time with a lot of other teams. We're going to have to play some big games this year. The Bears. I mean, not only that, our division got a lot better. I don't care what anybody says. Even the Saints with Spencer Rattler waiting in the back to strike on Derek Carr. There is so much opportunity in our division, and I'm obviously very worried about that. Now, Dave Canales was the focus of my 9-part Who is Dave Canales miniseries, and part of the reason that I'm doing the Dave Canales breakdown extravaganza, where we do all of his training camp press conferences. And player press conference breakdowns will also be coming out soon. I'm just going to wait for the first game to be done on Thursday night. But regardless, I think that Dave has a great, solid plan. I'm super excited for the future. The offense needs to take that step forward because, like I've always said, I think that defense does take that step back, especially because of the secondary and the pass rushing holes. We can fix that through free agency by adding people like Gilmore, according to the fans. But we will see what happens between now and week 1. I'm obviously very excited. And I'm just happy to bring these to you right here on Roll Coverage. My name is Nick. I've been the host, going to stay the host, and hopefully you are around for a lot more. Make sure you put a comment. Make sure you subscribe. Otherwise, have a great rest of the day. Peace.